Hey guys, Marijka. Here with you today to bring you guys a tween takeout. This month I have for you a little dish that we'll be making. You could make this dish as a Christmas present for a loved one or a relative, or even just a nice little gift for ourselves or yourself, because it's good to give ourselves things. It's pretty important that we make sure we take care of ourselves. So you can call the library to pick up one of these kits if you have not done so already. And inside the kit is almost everything that you need. Besides the things in here, it will be very handy to have some sort of rolling pin apparatus. In my video, I will use a spray can. So really anything that you could roll something out with. And it would also be nice to have a butter knife, or I use a palette knife. Now that I'm thinking about it, you probably even use the bottom of your paintbrush to cut your clay. So besides those things, everything you need is in the kit, and that includes 3 colors of paint, some red, blue, and yellow. I encourage you to mix them to achieve the colors that you would like. A little container of Mod Podge to put on at the very end to seal in all of your beautiful work that you've done. Make sure, please, that you seal the front and the back, and sometimes it does take more than one coat. So you don't want to put it on too thick because then it won't dry clear. As I learned a little bit on mine, I do have some white spots. So just a heads up. And then we will also have a paintbrush, which you can use to paint and possibly even cut your clay, and then your packet of clay. So this is everything that you need to make your beautiful dish. All right, guys, so we're going to take our clay and we're going to just start rolling it around and pressing it with our hands just to kind of soften it up, get it a little bit more malleable. You might also want to knead it a couple of times on your surface. That'll help just soften it. All right, guys, once you feel that the clay is kind of warmed up, just kind of flatten it out a little bit with your hands, and then take your rolling pin or whatever object you are using as a rolling pin and just start rolling it out. Sometimes I like to pick it up and flip it over. Seems to get a more even roll on that. You want it to be a decent size, not too thin, not too thick, and it really should be as big as, or a little bit bigger than the size you're thinking in your head, because we are going to be cutting them. So as you see here, I flip it over and roll the other side once I'm satisfied with how big it is. So here I just clean up the edges a little bit just to make sure everything is kind of the same width. And so now we're just going to cut a circular shape. I'm using a palette knife. You could use a butter knife, a old sort of credit card or bank card, really anything that you have that is just a little bit tougher that'll get through this clay. It's really not that difficult. You could even just use your fingernail. So then once you've got that done, we'll discard the rest of the clay around it, and if you wish, you can dip your finger in a little bit of water and rub it along the edges, and it'll give you a nice smooth edge. Or you can do like I did and just kind of use the palette knife, or even just leave it raw, like a nice rustic edge. That looks really good also. So now we're going to add our decorative element to our dish. I just rolled up a piece of paper and is lightly imprinting on it. You could do anything you want. You could do somebody's name, lines, whatever you would like, using whatever object you would like. You do you and make it you. You could even just keep it a nice smooth surface. So I just went with these kind of little circular flower things. That's what I was feeling like at the time. I did go through lots of options though. So here we're just going to make it into our dish. So there are a few options that you could do. You could place it in a bowl, or actually place some parchment paper or wax paper in a bowl and then set it in there if that's more of the shape that you want. I like this kind of rustic look, so I just kind of kept forming it until it looked how I wanted and we're holding together fine. So once you have it in the shape that you are going for, if you would like to smooth around the edges and clear up any sort of tears, just dip your finger in some water. And then I just went around the spark and gathered, as you can see, some markers and crayons, anything just to put next to it to hold it up while it dries. And then we're just gonna let it dry for a few days. So now we have dried and everything is good. Sometimes you have to flip it over to get the other side, but I would give it just a couple of days. And once it's 100% dry, then I think we're good to start painting. So let's get our paint stuff ready. I'm gonna mix my own paint, which I'm hoping you guys do also mix your colors up. I'm going for more of a green bottom, so I'm going to mix my blue and yellow together till I get the green that I'm kind of thinking of. I also sometimes actually just mix the paint on my surface that I'm working on, and sometimes I feel like that gives me a better color. So you will see that here I start just adding the colors to achieve the green that I'm looking for. So, but again, this is your guys' project, and just be as creative or as simple as you want. So it's yours or whoever you decide to give it to. Okay, so we want to make sure that we get it fully covered, and then we're going to start painting up the sides of our dish. You might actually need to do 1 or 2 coats once it's dry to get all of the edges. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to let it dry. So then once it's dry, if you look around and you see that it needs some little touch-ups in all the nooks and crannies, you can do that. Or if you feel that it's okay, just go on to painting the bottom of it. And here I just went pretty simple on the bottom. So once the whole bottom is dry, you can work on the sides. Yeah, if you do everything too close together before it dries, and it doesn't take that long to dry between, you might be smearing or pulling off some of the paint. So I would just let it sit there and dry for the rest of the day. And then once it's dry, you can go in, and here I'm doing a technique called dry brushing. So I'm taking a color that I want, a lighter green that I mixed up, and I'm just dry brushing it. So I'm putting some paint on my brush and then taking most of the paint off and then wiping it on my surface. And that's just giving it some added texture. And it's not necessary. Again, this is your project, and I really encourage you guys to just do you. So here it's all dry, and I decided I kind of wanted to add some extra colors. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I just kind of sat down and started painting and just saw where it led me. So I painted the whole upper edge of it, and then decided I was going to go in and kind of highlight some of these circles that I made in these little flowers. So here I'm just going over it in the yellow. And, you know, you could be as precise as you want or not. As you can see, I'm not exactly that precise. So I will go in and kind of clean it up a little bit with some more green in a little bit. So there I have my little added ins, and I'm going to go in and just clean it up a little. And now I'm just adding another little decorative element inside to make it look more like flowers. Now, once it's completely dry, we're gonna go in with our Mod Podge, and we're going to Mod Podge the front and back. And you might need multiple coats, but please make sure that your whole thing is dry. All right, so now that we have our gorgeous little dishes that we made for someone we care about, or ourselves, who hopefully we also care about immensely. Yeah, I hope that you like it, and I'd love to see your little creations that you made. So if you'd like to post them to our Facebook page or tag us in anything else that you're on, I would really love to see that. And I hope you guys had a lot of fun doing this. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.